Okay, here's a bit of an update on the greens drainage project. Back from holiday, as you can probably tell, obviously. And just to give you the heads up, I've filmed the various clips for the greens over a few days, so it's probably a few wardrobe changes, but that's because it's been done in different days. Let's give you the update. So we did first two greens on the Thursday and Friday, and then I headed off on holiday, as I said in the previous video, and left the team to it. Just start by saying a massive thank you to the volunteers again. It made a real difference, as we knew it would. Really helped us get this job done in good time, and in what I'm told were pretty poor conditions in the end. The weather didn't help us, and there were a couple of delays due to water logging and so on, but the job got done, and that's the main thing. We had up to 6 days. We hoped to do it in 5, but it took 6 due to the water logging and the heavy downpours, but we got the job done, so that's the first thing. So all the main drains are in the greens. As I'm sure you'll imagine, the greens having been done over 6 days, including a weekend, so it's over 8 days in total. They're all at slightly different stages at the moment, and everybody wants to know, first question, when are they going back on? Not an easy one. Initially we said 4 to 6 weeks, potential for 8 weeks based on the information we've had from other clubs that have done this work. And as I said back in the previous video, some clubs have kept their greens off for 6 months having done this work, which is certainly not our intention. So where are we? I'm recording the progress of the greens at the moment, and I just recorded progress today on the 6th, 2 weeks later. So the last of the greens to hit the 14-day mark is the 15th, and that'll be tomorrow. Probably today by the time you get this video. So Thursday is the 2-week mark for the 15th. And so where do I think we are? So I came back off holiday, and I've got to tell you, I was a little bit disappointed with progress, and then having heard the tales of woe and the rainfall and the temperatures we've seen, it's not surprising at all. There's a couple of problems that have caused the delay to the progress, and it's not as far along as I would have liked, but the two main issues: the temperatures have been a bit lower, you know, less sunshine around that you'd expect August. Even in Britain you expect nice weather in August generally, so we haven't had as much sunshine. Nighttime temperatures have dropped off hugely last week, but by far the biggest problem has been the rain, and I've said in a previous video, and probably foolishly looking back, that, you know, it doesn't really matter how much it rains. But I was wrong, because obviously if it rains enough that you know, you're getting torrential downpours and the greens are flooding, what that's doing is it's washing the sand out of the lines a little bit, and even if it's only moving a little bit on the surface, what that's doing, the surface sand moving around, is taking the bent seed. And I'm going to cut in a picture of the bent seed here just to give you an idea, but it's like flour or dust, you know, it's really quite fine, that seed. Fine seed to grow a fine grass. So the problem we've had, and the delay, and the reason that I think we're probably a week behind where I'd like us to be, is that the bent seed and the sand on the surface has been washed out by the torrential downpours. And I've got a few images that I'll try and cut in as well to show you that. This is the 8th then, Saturday 7th at 19:34, and I went out there. It's really coming down out there at this time. And by way of comparison, a minute later, this is the 12th, which obviously hasn't got any drains in, so it gives you an idea of what 8 would have looked like had we not have got those pipes in. And a couple of minutes later we're on 14 here, and it really starting to come down a bit heavier now. You can see the puddling. And this is as bad as it gets. It's really coming down. You can see the water's going to run down those channels. It's washing the sand and the seed out of those lines as we speak. Interestingly, a couple of minutes later the rain's passed through. This is the 10th green. This is a comparison of the USGA spec that we've got out there. This is a £25,000 green obviously, but you can see it's took that rain quite nicely. And again, a minute or two later, and this shows you how well 14 has moved that water, and there was some there, wasn't there, but this has moved it away, and a few minutes after this it was dry. So this is the next process that we're undertaking on these greens. So what we're actually doing, we're taking the lines, and what we're going to do is we're going to spike the surfaces, as you can see there, and by spiking the surface we're lifting the profile, lifting and softening the top 2 or 3 inches of the soil here in the green. And you can see it's disturbing the sand a little bit, and what this is doing is softening the surface up and creating a great seed bed, which I'll show you in a second. But also when we now roll this, we're going to double roll this straight afterwards. What it'll do, it'll help push the holes, the lines back together. Where we've lost sand, Adam here has come up with a genius idea on how we can get the sand and the new seed back into the line, and only the line. So what Adam's doing there is putting a mixture of kiln dried sand so that it pours nicely straight into the line with some more bent seed, Agrostis bent seed. And as we know at the moment, that'll come through in about 2 weeks. So we're getting the seed back in the line. The weather forecast is much better now, much more consistent for next week, so hopefully this will work quite nicely. And what I can see now looking at this is these lines have just closed over a little bit. It's probably only 10-15% narrower, but obviously that's made a bit of a difference. And as this seed germinates in the next couple of weeks, we'll start to see full recovery. It's a good example. It's definitely closed up there. See by my hand the width of that trench now, much narrower, so it's definitely working. Nice idea. So once we've got a double roll on this screen, simply throw a bit of water on. These will be watered now 2 or 3 times each day during the day, just to keep that sand nice and damp in the surface so the seed can come through. Here on 11 then, and I can see it, hopefully you can see it on camera as well, but the spiking that we've done has done exactly as I hoped it would. It's lifted the surface a little bit, and the rolling that we followed up with a double roll, and that's actually just brought these lines a little bit closer together, and the seed is now in. Since that work has been completed, we've sprayed these greens with a wetting agent product, so the wetting agent is gone on quite heavy, and the idea there is that it will hold the moisture right in the surface. So we want to hold the water right in the very surface, keep the moisture right in the top inch, so that the seed, because obviously that's where the seed is in the very top, and if it dries out in the top inch normally on your green, you wouldn't be concerned. In fact, we encourage it very often, but at the moment we're trying to grow seeds, therefore we want the top to remain damp to allow that germination to happen. And so with the wetting agent down, the spiking's been done, we'll keep rolling these greens. We've reseeded all the lines with the watering can as Adam came up with. Great idea. So all that's working quite nicely. They're growing quite nicely, and what we've also done is we've put a little bit of surface feed on to complement the granular base feed that we put on, just to keep them going. We really want these things to grow as quickly as they can, but we've also put on a plant growth regulator, which is going to prevent top growth whilst allowing the energy to run into the other parts of the plant. So we should see the greens spreading out more, so less top growth and more spreading out. There's lots of science involved, I won't bore you with it, but that stuff really works quite nicely. So everything that can be done is now being done to these greens. One thing you will notice is while you're out and about, they'll be watered during the day, so in order to keep that surface exactly as we want it to encourage the seed to germinate, we'll be watering the greens probably 3 or 4 times a day, depending, whilst you're out there, depending on how hot it actually is. But the forecast looks good at the moment, and I'm pretty confident standing here today, or crouching here today, that we can get this back on track, and we're hopeful we'll be back on the main greens, you know, very soon. So what we'll do is I'll give you another update next week, and then hopefully you can watch this video and then follow up with the update next week, and you'll see the progress again of each of the drain lines. And with a bit of luck, the boys have got back on top of the golf course a little bit now, having had a week or so distracted by the drainage. The course is coming back into shape, and we can go back out there now and start getting these main carry drains in as well. So you should see that start to happen next week as well.